up, guys? This is gonna be day numero dos. Dos. All right, we're gonna get started soon. Check. All right. First of all, welcome back for those of you who are following live. For those of you who are gonna watch on YouTube tonight, and for those of you following on the Meet, I'm excited. This is day 2, lesson number 2. For those of you who were able to come, hey, what's up? Just kidding, no one's here. It's just me. We're gonna get to work. This is day 2. We're finishing up the Cold War. So let's get this. Wow, the one time I need this to work. Ooh, there we go. All right, so a few announcements. Let me clarify a few things. I know some of you have been hearing that we are no longer going to be having school until May. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is true. We were told this morning by our superintendent that we will not be coming back to work until May 1st. So we will be continuing these lessons. I will update the thing on Canvas with the schedule. We will continue this all the way until May. So anticipate at least two or three of these videos a week, all the way until May, obviously, except when we have spring break. So hopefully everything gets taken care of by then, and we can resume school by May 1st. Other than that, this is it. This is the new norm. Kind of weird, but let's go. Ooh, so I'll give you guys a second to take a look at this quote. I think where we are right now, we need a little happiness in our life. All right, so it says that the secret of being happy is accepting where you are in life and making the most out of it every day. I know that seems kind of ironic right now. So how do you make the best out of this? And I think all I can really say about this is that we just need to be able to listen, be home, be with our families, take care of our families, take care of ourselves. Because if we take care of ourselves, then we can take care of the world. The other day I was talking to my roommate that I was like, hey, silver lining in all this is that this is amazing for our environment. Just last night I walked down, I looked up and I can see the stars. There's less cars. We're obviously driving a lot less, so that's a lot less emissions going out into the air. I read an article the other day that talked about how the canals in Venice, you can finally see. So there's a little silver lining, but you gotta try to make the best out of this, because I understand every single day is difficult. For those of you wondering, why am I here? Why am I not home? Well, I get to be considered essential personnel, so I get to come to campus. And if I got stopped by the National Guard or the police, I'm an essential personnel, so I can come. But for real, it was just one of those things that those of you who know me, I'm busy all the time, I'm working all the time, so I just feel this is my home. This is my home. So for me, I am home. Super cheesy, huh? And some of you guys are, I'll be honest, most of you guys are missed, with the exception of maybe like Ivan. I'm just kidding, Ivan. I miss you, Ivan. All right, let's get started. Okay. So again, this is we're blending Unit 6 with Unit 7. It's going to be kind of combined. I think I wasn't planning to do it this way, but with everything going on, it just happened to blend. So Unit 6, again, we're finishing up the wars. Unit 7 is what is America's role in the world. As you're going to see with today's activity, you get to decide what America's role in the world should be. All right, cool. So just a little pics. Okay, tanks. Hopefully we don't see these roaming the streets anytime soon, or ever. See that? See how much time I have? I even play with the transitions. All right, so if you recall from your class last year, from your world history class, The Russian Revolution happened right at the end of World War One. Russia kind of got out of that war, World War One, because they didn't have the equipment and they were extremely broke. During that revolution, Russia transitioned into what would be from a monarchy to a communist dictatorship. And as you all know, they have Joseph Stalin as a dictator. So one of the things that Joseph Stalin was able to do is he built up that military, stockpiled the military, so making them a world threat. As you can see, Russia doesn't mess around. So I think this is one of my personal favorite pictures from this whole slideshow. It really gives you that idea of two countries, two dominant countries, pretty much controlling the world. They're on top of the world, literally. Figuratively, they're the two countries on top of the world. Uncle Sam with a bag of money, because capitalism, and the Russian bear, and behind them that Russian flag about communism. And as you can tell, there's a little tension between them. They want to hit each other, but they're not going to. Okay, and they don't want to hit each other. And there's a reason why they don't want to hit each other. Okay. Ooh. Figuring out how sensitive this thing is. Okay, so I'm gonna take a second. Gonna read some comments. Say hi to some of you guys, whoever's online. What the? Sorry, no music today. Because a lot of people complain about the music. Cool. Hey, what up, Amy? What up, Faith? What up, Kayla? Ingrid? Oscar, the homie Oscar. Woo! Alright, so, in case a lot of you, if you've ever wondered why the Cold War is called the Cold War, okay, here's a brief description of it. So, it essentially got its name because both countries were hot. And I don't mean like they looked hot, I meant like they both had nuclear weapons, and nuclear weapons are hot. So the reason why is because if both countries decided to use their weapons, this would be a very hot war. So instead, they had to cool everything off. So the opposite of hot is going to be cold, which is why the name is Cold War. So to avoid both countries, and because both countries were afraid of each other, okay, you do the opposite of what's hot, and you go with cold. So it's to lower the tensions between the two countries. That's the whole point of the Cold War. Okay, it's very political. A lot of stuff that you're going to see is it's a lot of geopolitics, which will be the next slide where we talk about that. It's a lot of countries, the U.S. and the Soviet Union, trying to influence other countries, convert other countries into democracy or communism. And essentially what this is known as is called proxy warfare, proxy war, which is a war instigated by a major power that does not itself become involved. Okay, and we see the U.S. in a lot of proxy wars with Russia. Okay. All right. Geopolitics. Okay. So politics, especially in international relations, as influenced by geographical factors. We're gonna make our way to the map. Boom. Alright, so you can take a look at this lovely map. Russia is right there, for those of you who don't know where it is. It was called the Soviet Union because it extended and had all these countries part of it. Boom. Okay. China at this point is communist. North Korea. And where is Vietnam? Vietnam. Okay. We are way on this side. In case you're wondering, how far are we from Russia? Well, technically, that sucked. See that right there? That's Russia. That's the United States. So that corner of Russia is this corner over here. So we're actually not that far away from Russia. We have the whole Pacific Ocean, which is huge, thankfully, and the whole Atlantic and European countries that are covering us. So, what is geopolitics. Which is funny because we are technically experiencing geopolitics now. Okay. So the United States, as much as it wants to be powerful, it needs to be able to have influences all over the world because it needs to have friends, right? The whole idea is the more friends I have, the more people I can trade with. Russia wants to do the same. Okay. So when you have two countries that want to expand their influence, they're going to do it by making sure that they put whoever they want in power. So that's what you have. You have Russia trying to convert all these countries into communist countries by having a communist government. You have the U.S. trying to do the exact same thing. If you recall, there's one thing we covered like 3 weeks ago, the Monroe Doctrine, where the U.S. government pretty much told all of Europe, this off limits. We're in charge of everything. But Russia was like, yeah, we're not going to listen to you. So we're going to try to influence and convert some of these countries into communist countries. Okay, so that's essentially what you're doing. What you're doing is you're having a big old game of chess, and everyone is trying to move their pieces, while the UK is just chilling, hanging out. But the US and Russia, that's exactly what they're doing. If you've ever played the game Risk, have an idea what the game Risk is, that's essentially what this is. Everyone is just moving, trying to turn all these colors. Okay, they want more countries to be communist. The US want more countries to be democratic. In case you're wondering, yes, I have a selfie stick. I'm just kidding, it's not a selfie stick. It's one of those little sticks that people use to record. All right. Ooh, okay. So the aftermath of World War II is you have the U.S. and Soviet Union come out as the two major global powers. Okay. America's forced Japan to become democratic. So Germany, so the two main villains, right? Japan and Germany. Okay. The U.S. was able to convert Japan into a democratic country that pretty much we were in charge of, except Russia didn't necessarily let Germany be the same way. So Germany was actually split into 4 sections, each section controlled by France, Britain, the U.S., and Russia. And this is how it looks. Okay, these are the 4 sections. This is Germany. The red is what's controlled by Russia. The green is what's controlled by the United Kingdom. The blue is France, which I think it's ironic, right? France got their butts kicked in World War II. How are they all of a sudden controlling? And then that orange part is what's controlled by the U.S. But here's the interesting part. You probably can't see this, so I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, see that right there? That Berlin, that's the capital of Germany. That little bad boy right there. That's the capital of Germany. Where is that located? Let me ask around the classroom. Otto, where's looking at this map, where's Berlin? Yeah, great answer, Otto. It is in the middle of the Russian territory. So America, Britain, and France both decided that Berlin was going to get split up. So you have West and East Berlin. So imagine they came into LA and they split LA in half. Half of LA belonged to, I don't know, let's say Russia, and the other half belonged to the US. Technically LA is in the US, but the other part, which isn't no longer part of the US, has to be now divided. So what you have is, you have a city that's not part of the country that they're in. Ooh. I know it sounds a little confusing, but ooh, you see that? I'll show you guys that transition again. Hold up. Ooh. I know, I have no idea how I did that, but I did that. Okay. So what ends up happening is in West Berlin, they decided to build a wall. This is known as the Berlin Wall. As you can tell, the wall literally surrounds the entire city. So imagine like, let's say they wanted to divide Lawndale. Lawndale wanted to be part of another country. Let's say Lawndale no longer wanted to be part of the U.S. and Lawndale wanted to be part of Mexico. So what Lawndale's going to do is they're going to build a wall around themselves. So you now have a border and no one can come in or out. And the only way Mexico can come into Lawndale is by flying over. They can't drive across. So that's essentially what's happening. As you can tell in this slide, there's a lot of military personnel, soldiers. The walls are barricaded, so not anyone can hop over, so you can't just go visit a friend. So if your girlfriend lived on the other side of the wall, you couldn't see her anymore. So I guess it gave you a good reason to break up with someone. For those of you who broke up with people right before the end of the school year, Ariana. All right. If you guys recall, at the end of World War I, the U.S. decided that they were going to create a Union of Nations. This was known as the League of Nations, except Wilson did not join that league. So the U.S. creates a league and then doesn't join the league. This time the U.S. said, hey, you know what? We learned from our mistakes. Okay. We're actually going to be part of it this time. So we're going to create what's going to be known as the United Nations. And we are actually going to be part of that United Nations. Hey, look at that. Twanzo. Look at that, Mr. Twan. What a guy. Okay. This essentially replaces the League of Nations, and it is now the first global unification of different countries. The League of Nations also create, the League of Nations. The United Nations creates something called the World Bank, which is a bank that the purpose of the bank is to provide loans to third world countries. Third world countries are countries that are deemed potentially communist countries. That's where the original term comes from, by the way. Third world country refers to countries that are communist countries. Now they're associated with being poor and like undeveloped and stuff like that. Ooh. All right, so let me give you an example of what the original definition of first and third world countries are. As you can see, anything that was purple was considered to be a first world country. And those are all countries are democratic. And the U.S. decides that anything that's not democratic, everything that was communist, is going to be categorized as a third world country. See that? Words hurt, ladies and gentlemen, words hurt. So the U.S. decides that, hey, you know what? China, you're a third world country. Russia, you're a third world country. Soviet Union, you're a third world country. Oh, and by the way, everyone else who hasn't decided whether they're going to be with us or whether they're going to be with the Russians, you're going to be categorized as a second. Oh, damn. I just got myself confused. Super confused. Wow. See that? I should have read it. Should have paid attention. Oops. Let me backtrack, right? Mistakes happen. I caught myself right on time, so let me backtrack here. Okay. So the U.S. decides that they want to continue this labeling. So they're a first world country. Okay. What ends up happening is I got this mixed up. Okay. They decided that they're going to categorize all the communist countries as second world countries. And any country that hasn't decided that they were going to be part of the U.S. are going to be considered third world countries. There we go. My bad. I apologize. I read this wrong. Should have known this. Okay. So essentially, everything else that's in green is going to be categorized as a third world country. And this was so the U.S. can add pressure to those countries to convert to democracy. Ooh, why is this going? Okay. So again, let me clarify. Let me backtrack a little bit. Okay. The U.S. decides that the best way for us to divide ourselves and to label ourselves is by saying, hey, if you are a democratic country, America, Canada, most of Europe, Australia, South Africa, we're going to make you and we're going to label you as a first world country. Okay. Anything that is a red, anything that's a communist, official communist country, the Soviet Union, China, North Korea, we're going to call you a second world country because you're second class. And for the rest of you, Mexico, Latin America, South America, most of Africa, all Southern Asia, we're going to call you a third world country. Okay. So essentially, this is the way that we now use these terminologies, first, second, third world countries. A lot of these countries, by the way, as we all know, Mexico, they have the capability to be a first world country. India has a large economy. Okay, let's move on. And this is basically how the Europe was divided. Okay, you have the blues, which are your democratic countries, and you have the reds, which are your communist countries, and you have your light baby pink, which are the countries that are aligned with the Soviets. There we go. All right, so the Soviets create this thing called the Iron Curtain, which is the political, military, and ideological barrier erected by the Soviet Union after World War II to seal itself off from the rest of Europe and to create a more centralized union between those countries. Okay, they decided to not have any communication with any country that wasn't part of their affiliation. Okay, so that's going to be known as the Iron Curtain, and here you have a nice little depiction of the Iron Curtain. Here you have the U.S., Britain, France, and that right there, I don't know if you can really tell, that's a lady trying to move that curtain up, and that's the United Nations. And it says, "You try it, sister." They failed. Okay, and here's another one. Here's another Iron Curtain made in Moscow. Okay. All right, so in lieu of that, we created NATO, which is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is the treaty organization that was created in 1949 by the United States, Canada, Belgium, Denmark, France, Great Britain, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, and Portugal to provide collective security against the Soviet Union. So essentially they said, all right, cool, Soviet Union, you have your union of a bunch of countries, we're gonna have our own union of a bunch of countries, and we're gonna call that NATO. Okay, and the purpose of this was to take an aggressive stand against the Soviet Union. Okay, so here you go. This is the Cold War. By the way, pay attention to the colors I use. Red, I'm going to associate with communists, which I'm going to associate with the Soviet Union, and blue, I'm going to associate with the U.S. democracy. So USSR against the USA. USSR stands for the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. USA stands for United States of America. They're communist, we're capitalistic. They have a totalitarian government, we have a democracy. All right, so USSR, we're gonna do a little backtracking. Remember this from last year when you went over the totalitarian governments in your world history class. Communism, it's a political theory derived from Karl Marx, advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid according to their abilities and needs. And a totalitarian government is a system of government that is centralized and dictatorial and requires complete subservience to the states. So essentially, in the Soviet Union, the government controls everything. They tell you what to do, they tell you where to go, they tell you when to go. Okay. America, by the way, we're capitalists. It's an economy and a political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. Okay. A democratic republic, which is what we have, is not all citizens in the republic are necessarily entitled to vote. Here in the U.S., you have to be 18 and over to be able to vote. Okay, you can't have a felony. A felon, you can't be a felon. As both a democratic republic is ideal, a sovereign state whose ultimate power rests in the citizens equally entitled to vote, who directly or indirectly elect representatives to wield that power. We vote for people who are going to represent us, and those people make decisions on our behalf. That's why we are a democratic republic. All right. So this, by the way, these next two slides, I'm going to update the Canvas PowerPoint because these next two slides I added last night. One of the things I wanted to talk about was fear-mongering. When we started this Cold War, one of the things that happens here in the U.S., as you're going to see, is we have to instill the fear in Americans of communism. Does that sound like something that's happening now? What are we afraid of now? What's going on in America that we are afraid of, that the news is scaring us? Okay, so fear-mongering, it's the action of deliberately arousing public fear or alarm about a particular issue. Hope that's ringing a bell. Okay, the Red Scare 2.0, so the first Red Scare occurs after World War I, and the second one occurs after World War II, so essentially scaring Americans away from communist ideology. We don't want to be communists, so we want to scare. This is the reason why so many people are afraid of Bernie Sanders. Okay, I'm not endorsing Bernie Sanders, I'm just telling you that a lot of people, they associate Bernie Sanders with socialism, and socialism is associated with communism. And here in America, we've done a great job at scaring people of communism. Which, by the way, we talked about this, okay? FDR had socialist programs. after the Great Depression. So we have a lot of socialist things here in the US. So it blows my mind that people are so afraid of this socialism where literally, what's the US government going to do right now? They're going to give people a check. What do you think that is? That's socialism. That $1,000 that the government is going to give you, that's socialism. Which, by the way, the last thing I read that it's going to be on the floor in the Senate or the Congress. They're trying to get every American over the age of 18 $1,000, and for a child, they're going to give them $500. So for those of you who are at home, there's a good possibility that your mom and dad are going to get a check, and you're going to get, not that they're giving you the $500, but your parents are going to get $500 for having you, for being underage. So, hey, that's communism. That's socialism. So this idea that we're so afraid of socialism, yet right now when we need it, let's go socialism. Right now when we need it, everyone wishes we had healthcare. Again, fear-mongering. We've done a great job at it. Here's some cartoons. Okay, here's a U.S. big, scary, right? Poor little baby bear, like little Winnie the Pooh. On this side, look, little Uncle Sam, big bear about to eat him. Okay, here we go. Oh, I like that one. Okay, two big world powers, arm wrestling. And here are some great, as you can see, I'm gonna zoom into these because I need you guys to be able to see them, but look at that. Boom. That's how you scare people. Okay, that's exactly how you scare people. Look at that. Look at that lady. Does she not look scared? Is this tomorrow? America under communism? Oh, she looks scared. It's like we're trying to tell you guys that this is a scary movie. The most serious threat to our nation today, well, today would be COVID-19, but back then they said it would be the Red Menace. All right, so we are at the end. Okay, at the end of today's lesson, I told you guys it'd be short. It'd be short. Okay, so what you're doing at home. Okay, this is your distant learning discussion number 2. Okay, what I want you guys to do is you're gonna watch that video. The link's right there. The link is on. It's gonna be on Canvas. I put it on the discussion. I'll show you guys right now. Actually, let me actually show you guys. Go straight to it. Give me a second. All right, so you go on your Canvas, right? Boom. Okay, you're gonna go to this section right here where it says discussions. Okay, you're gonna click on discussions, and it gets you to right here. Okay, you should have done Distant Learning Journal, this one already. Should have done that one already. That one, by the way, is just watch that first video and just summarize it. And there was 3 questions that I asked. How would you punish the Japanese, and what rules, what expectations would you hold them accountable to? So you're gonna answer that one. A lot of you have already answered that. Great, love it. Okay, your number 2 is this one. Distant Learning Lesson Discussion number 2. This is the one that's for today's lesson. So you're gonna click on that one. Oh, I guess. You're watching this? I guess I can multitask. Okay. So for those of you here, again, you click on discussions. Boom. It's going to get you to this page right here. You should have already done Distant Learning Journal. Now you're doing Distant Learning Journal number 2. You click on that. Boom. Right there. Okay. This is learning number 2. You guys are gonna, first of all, find out what wet market is. So there's a theory going on right now that the COVID-19 virus started originates from a wet market in China. So I need you guys to watch that video right there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And then you're going to answer the following questions. Those questions right there. You're going to answer them on that discussion. You're just going to click reply. Super easy. It's already published, ready to go. And the two questions are, what impact do you think this pandemic will have on the way Americans view China, Chinese Americans? So China as a country and Chinese Americans. How do you think we're going to view them now, moving forward? Okay. And the next thing is, do you think it's acceptable for President Trump to refer to this as the Chinese virus? Just the other day, he made a little interview and not an interview. He had a little announcement and he referred to it as a Chinese virus. A reporter questioned him on that and said, "Hey, you know, people are going to be they're going to take that the wrong way. They're going to harass Chinese people here in America. They're going to mistreat them. There's going to be a stigma. How do you feel about that?" And he pretty much doubled down and said, well, it starts from China. It started in China, so it's a Chinese virus. So how do you feel? Do you think it's acceptable? Are you against that? Do you feel like no, like it doesn't matter where it starts, it shouldn't be called that? So yeah, take a minute, answer those two questions, and again, summarize what you learned from the lesson. On the YouTube video, by the way, okay, what I need you guys to do is you're gonna write your name again on the YouTube video, and then you're gonna write your current favorite song. Okay, did you guys hear that? On the YouTube video, you're gonna watch the YouTube video and you're gonna write your name. You're gonna comment your name and then you're gonna tell me what your current favorite song is. So it should say your name and then your current favorite song. So for me, it would be Sandoval, and then it would be Bad Bunny, Si Veo Tu Mamá. Because why not? The song goes hard. Got it? Sweet.